Hello everyone, we're going to be doing chapter 14, so we're technically going backwards in the book. In Math in Focus, we're going to be on page 112 in your textbook. Please have a pencil and paper for every math lesson. We're going to be doing the intro and 14.1. Let me change my camera screen. All right, so fractions. It says, what fraction of the squares of the quilt has hearts on it? That's a fun little thing you can do at home. But we're going to move on to the content pages. All right, so if this is one whole, this represents two halves. Both halves are colored in. Two halves equals one whole. This shape is divided into thirds. All three are colored in. So if you get 3/3, it equals one whole. This shape, this circle, is divided into fourths. 1, 2, 3, 4, and all four of them are colored in. Therefore, it represents 4/4. Whenever the numerator, that's the name of the top number, and the denominator, that's the name of the bottom number, are the same, they equal 1. So if I had 50/50ths, equals 1. If I had 90/90ths, it equals 1. So, all right. Identifying unit and non-unit fractions. 1/3 is a unit fraction. This is 1 out of 3 bars of this shape, right? It's exactly 1/3 of the total shape. Over here, it says a non-unit fractions name more than one equal part of a whole. So it's not just one unit, it may be more than one. Unit means 1 in this case. Here it equals 3/4. 1, 2, 3 out of 4. 3 out of 4 are colored in. Down here, making one whole unit with fractions. You notice that 1/2 plus 1/2 equals 1 whole. Very good. We'll also learn in this chapter to compare fractions. You'll see that 1/2 is bigger than 1/3 is bigger than 1/4. Usually when you think of numbers getting larger, like 2, 3, and 4, you think of the 4 is bigger. But in fractions, whatever the denominator is, the bigger the number, the smaller the piece. Think about it, if you had to share a pizza with 2 people equally, you would get 1/2 of that pizza. Yum, that's a lot of pieces, right? But what if you had to share just one pizza with 100 people? You would get teeny tiny, 1/100th of a pizza. That would be teeny tiny. So remember, the bigger the denominator, the smaller the fraction. Very good. I forgot my eraser. Use my hand. All right. So if we're ordering these from greatest to least, we'll go 1/2, 1/3, 1/4. If we ordered them from least to greatest, it would be 1/4, 1/3, 1/2. Like fractions. Like fractions are fractions whose whole are divided into same number parts. Let's get this a little closer so you can read it. So you notice the fraction in yellow is 1/3 up here. And then now the fraction in yellow is 2/3, right? In the second one, the whole is divided into 3 parts. There's 2/3. The whole is divided into 3 parts. 3/3 equals 1, just 1 whole. Now these are like fractions. I could add this 1/3 with these 2/3 to equal 3/3. Why? Because they have the same unit, the same denominator. So the denominator is the bottom number. I can add any number of thirds up, and that's okay because they have the same denominator. But we will not learn just yet how to add like 1/3 and 1/4 because they do not have the same denominator. We would have to make them have the same denominator, but we're not doing that just yet. That's a little ahead of our game. Okay? Adding and subtracting fractions. Like I said, I could add 1/3 plus 2/3 and get 3/3. And I could take 3/4 and take away 1/4 and get 2/4. Think of it like this. Think of the denominator like the unit in a word problem. If I had 1 ball plus 2 balls, I would have 3 balls, but instead of ball, it's a third. If I had 3 apples but ate 1 apple, I would only have 2 apples, or 2 fourths. Fourths is the unit of the problem. It's the denominator. Down here it says reading a number line. The numbers on the number line each increase by 1, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 is on a number line. All right, that's just something it wants to remind you of. Do know that fractions exist on this number line too. So if I were right smack in the middle between 4 and 5, what fraction would that be? Right, 4 and 1/2. Very good. Let's look at number 1 down here. Quick check. Match the fractions with their correct model and name. Well, this shows 1 out of 3 parts, right? So it should be 1/3. We'd match down to here and 1/3 up there. This shows 1 out of 4 parts. So we would match it with 1/4 and 1/4. Complete. 1 whole is 1/4. So 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 equals 4 fourths, or 1. It equals 1. One rectangle totally colored in. Over here on page 116, they want us to know greater than, less than, or equal to. And remember, in these kind of problems, this number always goes towards the larger number. For example, 5 is greater than 4, or 2 is less than 3, right? So greater than, less than. The alligator eats the bigger number, right? So for number 3, 1/4 is blank 1/2. Is it greater than or less than 1/2? What do you think? Right, well, 1/4, remember the smaller denominators are smaller fractions. So if I have 1/4 of a pizza, that would be less than 1/2 of a pizza. I would rather have half of a pizza than just a quarter of a pizza, right? So it's a little bit smaller. And then for number 3, 1/2 is blank 1/3. 1/2 is greater than 1/3. The larger the number in the denominator, the itty bitty, the smaller the fraction. Order the fractions from greatest to least. So which one is the greatest? Well, 1/2, what if I had to draw it? 1/2, that's going to be the greatest. Then we're going to have 1/3. And then we're going to have 1/4. Does that help you see that the size matters? 1/2 is bigger than 1/3, is bigger than 1/4. This is from greatest to least. All right, for number 6, find the like fractions. What does like fraction mean again? It doesn't mean they're equivalent. It just means they have like denominators. The denominators are the same. What is a denominator? Right, it's the bottom number. So 2/3, 1/3, and 3/3 are the like fractions in number 6. In number 7, let's look at these denominators. 2/4, 1/4, and 3/4 are like fractions. They're like fractions because they have the same denominator, the same bottom number. The denominator is the bottom number. For number 8, complete the model, then add. Well, let's see. Ooh, this one's fun because first we have to figure out what the fractions are, and step 2, we have to add them up. Let's do it together. For number 8, here we have 1/4 plus 1/4 because there's 4 units. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 in one shape. So it's divided into fourths. 1/4 plus 1/4. Now down here, 1/4 plus 1/4 equals 2/4. Let's draw that out for you. 1/4, 1/4, right? 1/4 plus 1/4 equals 2/4. Just like you could say 1 ball plus 1 ball equals 2 balls. You keep the unit on the bottom the same. It's just a name, right? And then for number 9, it's also in fourths, but this time it looks like there's 2 of them, 2/4 and 1/4, right? 2/4 plus 1/4 equals 3/4. Just like you could say 2 bugs plus 1 bug equals 3 bugs. Same unit, you keep that denominator the same. We're going to go over that more in lesson 14.1 in just a moment, so don't worry. For number 10, use the number line to complete the sentence. What number is that arrow pointing to? 15. It's pointing to 15. All right, moving on to the actual lesson 14.1. Read, write, and identify whole fractions with more than 4 parts, and identify numerator and denominator, which I've already started to help you. Remember, numerator on the top, denominator on the bottom. That's why I remember. Numerators, the number on top. Denominators, the number on the bottom. It's my little trick. All right. So here, let's look at these fractions and how to say them is the main thing on this page. 1/6, 1/7, 1/8, 1/9, 1/10, 1/11, 1/12. You could go on forever. Remember, these are much smaller than these. The smaller the denominator, the larger the fraction. The larger that denominator, the itty-bittier the fraction. For number 1 in guided practice, right here, the whole is divided into how many equal parts? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The whole is divided into 6 equal parts. How much of the whole is shaded? 1/6 of the whole is shaded. It should be written like this. 1/6 goes right there. Of the whole is shaded. And then it says blank blank of the whole is shaded. Here's where it wants you to write it in word form, which would be 1/6. The directions aren't super clear, but now you know. It's divided into 6 equal parts. 1/6 of the whole is shaded, so you write it in word form, 1/6. Remember at the beginning of the book, we practiced writing numbers in standard and in word form? That's what we're doing here. All right. 2 parts of this rectangle are red and 3 parts are yellow. So you would notice that if I added how many total parts? This is 2 out of 5, 2/5. 2/5, and this is 3 out of 5, 1, 2, 3, 3/5. If I were to add those together, that would be 2/5 plus 3/5 would be 5/5, and 5/5 would be the whole bar is shaded with something. Very good. Name the fraction that is shaded. Let's do number 2 together. Well, first we figure out how many it's divided into. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's divided into 6. It even tells us that down here. How many is shaded? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4/6 is shaded. And it says the whole is made up out of how many equal parts? 6. Number 3, it just asks you to write it in words. Say them yourself, and then let's do it together. Pause it and say each of these yourself, and then let's do it together. You should be back. 4/6, 5/12, 1/9, 4/10. For number 7, this rectangle is divided into how many equal parts? Well, you just count the number of parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 equal parts. How many are shaded? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 6 are shaded. So for number 7, you should have had 10 equal parts and 6 are shaded. For number 8, it says, what fraction is shaded? You would take those numbers and make it into a fraction that looks like this. 6 out of 10, or 6/10. Right? Very good. Which part of the rectangle is not shaded? Not shaded would be 1, 2, 3, 4. 4/10 are not shaded. Blank and blank together make one whole. Well, let's try it now. 6/10 plus 4/10 equals 10/10, which is the same thing as one whole. Remember, if the numerator and the denominator are the same, it's one whole. If I had 17/17, one whole. If I had 8/8, 1 whole. 10 tenths, 1 whole. Very good. All right, so remember, it even says, what is a numerator? What's a denominator? The top number is the numerator, and the bottom number is the denominator. So what is the numerator in this fraction? 2, very good. What is the denominator in this fraction? 3, very good. Last page, we're cruising today. How much of this circle is shaded? All right, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are shaded out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 6/8 of this circle are shaded because 6 blue pieces out of 8 total. You can say out of when you read this bar, or you can say divided by. We'll talk about that soon. 6/8 of this fraction are shaded. So the numerator is 6. The denominator is 8. Down here. What fraction is shaded? Choose the correct answers. 1/6 is shaded, and 1/6. This is the standard form as a fraction, and this is word form. These two are the correct answers. It is not 1/7. All right, Jane wants to make a number train with 10 of those number cube blocks. She starts by connecting 7. She needs to connect 3 more of those to create the chain. How did I get that? Well, I know in mental math, 10 minus 7 is 3. Very good. What fraction of the number chain has already been connected? 7 out of 10, or 7/10. What fraction has not yet been created? 3/10. Blank and blank together make 1 whole. 7/10 plus 3/10 equals 10/10, and as we learned before, 10/10 is the same thing as 1 whole. All right, in review, what do we call the top number? The numerator. What do we call the bottom number? The denominator, right? Fractions with the same denominator are called like fractions. Very good. Don't forget to do workbook pages 91 and 92 in your workbook.